Brightest blessings. This is a video response to Rainbowpagan, and I was going to keep this personal, but I think it's very important for young up-and-coming pagans and witches to actually see this as well, so they know what's going on, what the deal is, and not necessarily young pagans, should I say new pagans and witches, because I think this is important for everyone to know. Alright, so Jesse, aka Rainbowpagan, was talking about his coven experience. I believe his one and only coven experience, unfortunately. And he wanted to know if he was part of a cult or part of a coven. So I wrote down a list of certain things that he had some concerns about, and some of them rightfully so. So let's start, shall we? Okay, first off, it was run by a man and a woman. The man needed to be known as the king, or addressed as the king, and the woman as the queen. Now, although it is not uncommon for heads of covens to be treated with respect during pagan rituals or anything coven related, that should remain within those times. You're doing something within the coven, pagan related, circle type of things. Outside, they should be addressed by their regular names. So, does that raise a red flag? A little bit. Should get your ears perked up at the very least. Now, he also says that the queen was insisting that she was the reincarnation of Isis. And the king was the leader of the empires. Which empires, I'm not sure, but, you know, I'm sorry. That just seems a little over the top to me. First off, the reincarnation of a goddess, the humility just is not there. And the leader of the empires, well, seriously, why the fuck are you here now in the South? I'm sorry, I probably would have been kicked out of the coven a long time ago, because all I can think of when I see that is bum 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 ba-dum bum ba-dum bum bum bum, you know what I mean. Okay, now I'd probably be hearing this in my head, but I'd probably start whistling it out loud whenever I saw the king come by, and probably would be kicked out. Second thing is, they insisted that he write everything in his BOS. Now, for those who are not in the pagan community or witches and don't know what a BOS is, BOS stands for Book of Shadows. And in all reality, Jesse, they shouldn't have to tell you that. You should be writing everything in your BOS. Now, obviously I'm not very, I really don't care where I keep stuff. You know, I'm kind of a slob myself. But, you know, when it comes to my BOS, I'm really picky about what's in there. I don't put everything in there. I only put the most important things in there. So I actually have a couple of books. I have a book of shadows, a book of dreams, a book which is more of a dream diary, should I say. You could have a book of whatever. Make sure that you're just writing it down, putting it wherever you see fit, but if it's not all within your book of shadows, try to make it more organized, should I say. Now, here's one. Reading certain books, but they get mad when he reads anything else. Okay, here I can kind of see it and I can kind of not. First off, if they're trying to teach you in a certain tradition, I can understand why they don't want you reading anything but certain books at this point in time, because they're trying to teach you a certain tradition. When you're reading other books, you may get confused because they're teaching you about different traditions. You need to learn about the tradition that you're trying to learn first. However, she should be encouraging you as a pagan, maybe not at this point in time because you're not done with your training in a certain tradition. However, at some point in time, you should be reading those books. It is your job as a pagan to consume as much knowledge as you can. Now, this could be a red flag. I don't know. I wasn't there. But if they are trying to censor what you're reading, that could be a bad thing. Next, they believed that they had the power to read minds. Well, honestly, with the way you're making them sound, I'm very surprised that they didn't choose some other type of power or multiple powers. To be honest, I'm pretty sure they could read minds, as I can, as you can, as everyone can. It really doesn't make them special. We all have the ability and potential. It's just a matter of whether we train ourselves to actually do better. It's like a muscle. If you exercise it, you're going to be able to do it, and it'll be able to get easier and easier. They didn't teach you the basics. They didn't teach you in order. Now, he didn't mention this, but I put protection. So, I have mixed feelings about this. I myself was not taught in order, and kind of the first thing that I learned was kind of a protection kind of thing. So, but you got to understand, the person who taught me was not technically a witch, nor did she consider herself one. She taught me just some basic stuff that she felt that I needed to learn. I don't even think that she knew that she was a witch. I think that she claimed to be a Roman Catholic. I think that she was a kitchen witch. And so I don't blame her for not teaching me things in order. However, if you are taught by someone who claims to know what they're doing, it is their responsibility to teach you things in order. There's a reason for these orders. So, you can learn and stack things upon each other and use it as a basis of learning. However, you also need to know how to protect yourself. If they're not teaching you how to protect yourself, it's almost like they're putting themselves in a position where you can only run to them if you fuck things up. It seems like another power play to me. It was that they made you set up a table in a certain way, and they kept making you redo it until you got it right. Okay, well, there are things that you need to set up ceremonially, and you have to know how to do these things. If you don't know how to do it, instead of just saying, do it again, obviously you don't know how to do it again. Otherwise, you would have done it right the first time. So I would re-instruct you and then have you do it. But you have to learn these things. Especially if you're going to have any sort of ceremony in your life. If you're not, then you don't really need to. Tests. Yes, I give tests as well. Not to, shame someone for not knowing something. I need to see what you're learning from me and how well you're learning it, how my teaching technique is working for you. If you're just not getting it, then I need to find another way to put things to you. It's not only a test for you, but it's a test for my teaching abilities. And what you're not understanding, I need to put more emphasis on, and what you are understanding, I will move on from. Next, they had you stand in a dark basement to see what energies you have. Really? Okay, so with this one, I could see what they were trying. I'm sorry, I can't stop from laughing. I could see what they were trying to do. However, there could be a more, how could I say, a less dramatic way of doing this. Yeah, I was tested as well for how I was able to read certain energies, but I wasn't thrown in a dark basement. My God, you don't know if someone's deathly afraid of the dark. And, to be honest, with what I've been hearing about them, they really don't know what's in their basement. For all they know, they probably set something loose and had no fucking clue what they were doing, or that it's even loose down there. They could be putting you in danger, really. My guess is that you were a little afraid, if not somewhat more than a little. Who has what natural abilities, but there are other ways of doing things. There's more than one road to Rome, and you can get there in multiple ways. You don't have to be dramatic. Next, they made you make Ouija boards out of wood. Okay, well, it's good to have a class project. It helps you learn certain things, and it's really good that everyone's doing the same project at the same time. It helps you learn. But once you're done making the Ouija board, then you go on to the next project. I don't understand if they were trying to make you make more than one Ouija board, what the purpose was for that. All right, next, they gave you your magical name. They would not have you choose it. This is really depending on the coven and who's running it. They seem like control freaks, so to be honest, I'm not surprised that they made it to where they had to choose your magical name. Not a big surprise. I chose my own, but that's because I insisted on it. The coven that I worked with asked you to choose your own magical name, and if you could not come up with something or you needed help, then they would come up with something for you or provide the help that you needed, whatever you chose. Some will have you come up with your own, some will do it for you, some will do it for you only if you need help. So there's really not a lot of red flags there. However, their choice is not surprising considering the control issues they seem to have. They assigned you angels. Okay, so you guys work with angels. As someone who has worked with angels before, I don't work with angels often, and there's a reason for that. They're not all love and glory and bright light and everything. They can be real dicks to work with, and they can be very, very powerful. You do not work with them unless you absolutely need to. And to assign you an angel, well, that's really not their place. If an angel comes to you and agrees to help you or wants to help you, to turn down their help is extremely disrespectful and rude at the very least. And you're lucky you're not putting someone in danger because they don't choose for you to work with that angel. Who the fuck are they? Next. Making wands with symbols that they wanted on it, not you. Okay. It is very important that if you're going to be putting symbols on anything, including wands, runes, whatever, that you learn what the symbols are and what they mean, and then what they mean together. A symbol may mean something totally different when put together with another symbol. You need to learn this and you need to know this so you can make the choices on your own wand. Otherwise, it is not your wand. I think they're getting over with their control issues there again. They did in the cemetery, or things they were talking about doing in the cemeteries. Just because you're working in a cemetery does not make it dark magic. I work in cemeteries a lot, and it has nothing to do with the magical principles or what I can do in the cemeteries compared to other places. The reason why I work there is I find them rather peaceful. It's really no different than going into a room where I know no one's gonna fucking bother me. It really has nothing to do with any of the magics that I do. But if they think they're doing something special in there that only they can do in a cemetery, then maybe they need to look at what they're doing. Maybe they are doing some negative shit. Okay, but not all dark magic is bad magic. I believe that if you are more light in your nature, you need to work on doing more dark things to cause a balance. Same thing if you're too dark, you need to work on more light and loving things to keep that balance. Because it's not good being all dark. It's certainly not all good being all light either. You don't want to implode, and you certainly don't want to explode. Okay, so they do sound more cultish to me, and I'm glad that you got out of there. You do not need to be in a coven like that. Are there covens like that? Unfortunately, more than I'd like to admit. I'm glad you got out of there. But, you know, honestly, I wish you wouldn't have had your mom do it, because I don't know how she feels about your paganism. It certainly wasn't something that would have encouraged her acceptance more. Shit, I could have called them for you. Would have knocked them down a pedestal or two. But also, you know, if you're new to paganism or Wicca or anything like that, don't let anyone take control like that. If they're training you to do this, they need to train you to be able to take control for yourself. This is something that you need to take power in yourself. Blessed be.